up the footprints of God. And there it comes up right there on the screen. Digging up the footprints of God. Discoveries in Israel that prove the Bible is inspired. If you have a Bible, Psalms 102, verses 12 through 16. Psalms 102, 12 through 16. We are going to read that right now. Psalms 102, 12 through 16. I love this passage of Scripture. But you, O Lord, shall endure forever in remembrance of your name to all generations. You will arise and have mercy on Zion. Now, the actual pronunciation in Hebrew is Sion, because there's a letter called Asadi, a Hebrew letter called Sadi at the beginning of that. So it's not Zion, but it's Sion. But I'm going to say Zion because that's what you're used to the preacher saying. For the time to favor her, yes, the set time has come for her. Your servants take pleasure in her stones and favor the dust thereof. Israel's the only place in the world where people come back with rocks and dirt and brag on it. Oh God, I got dirt on my shoe. That's where Jesus walked. You know what I'm saying? Rocks and dirt. So the nations shall fear the name of the Lord, and the kings of the earth your glory. For when the Lord shall build up Zion, and that is the area of Jerusalem, then he will appear in his glory. Now, if you do not believe the Bible is true, I want to encourage you, take a trip to Israel. Because it will take one trip to Israel is all it will take for the guides to show you things, to prove to you that what is written in the Old and New Testament is absolutely a fact and truth. So what we're going to do today is take a journey in what we call archaeological proof that the Bible exists. For example, when we talk about archaeological proof, there have been names that are found in the Bible that have been discovered in Israel. For example, they have found the name Pilate, the name Augustus, the name Felix, and the name Herod in inscriptions and on tombs. Number two, there have been cities found in the Bible that exist. They were underground. They have been discovered. By the way, they just discovered the synagogue of Magdala, where Mary Magdalene would have been from, the one from her day. And they found a beautiful Jewish menorah on the stone there. It's one of the great discoveries. Number three, they have found pottery and scrolls that agree with the historical reference. Now, there's coins that they have found. For example, there's a rare coin, only cost you $10,000 to $25,000 for it, if you can find one in a shop, and it has the actual Jewish temple before 70 AD, before its destruction, on the back of it. Other coins show Jewish people in prayer shawls being taken captive. These are found on coins and pottery. Now, one of the things that we have found out in our research is that there are many, many times that there are other types of discoveries made in other parts of the world that help authenticate the Bible. There was a discovery in something which was called the Ebla tablets. Now, scholars, this is really funny, scholars denied that writing existed in the time of Moses. So what that means is, well, the Torah can't be real. It wasn't really written by Moses because writing did not exist back then. They teach this in certain theological seminaries. Now, that began to change when these tablets were found, called the Ebla tablets, because the Ebla tablets discovered in 1975, and they came from a civilization that existed 2,500 BC in the area of Lebanon, Syria, Damascus, and southeast Turkey. They started translating them, and they found the Hebrew word tehom. Tehom is used in Genesis 1 and 2, and the Spirit of God moved upon the deep. The D-E-E-P is the Hebrew word tehom, which is the underground chambers. I'll talk about that tomorrow, perhaps. And so Genesis 1 and 2, they found that word on this particular tablet. They also, by the way, these tablets were written 800 years before Moses wrote the Torah. So just thought I would tell you that that word existed 800 years before Moses ever wrote it. And also there were 20,000 cuneiform tablets that were discovered. And when they translated them over years, they found the name David, Abraham, and Ishmael, all three biblical names. They also said, scholars have said that the Hittites were a fabrication and a legend. You can't trust what the Bible has to say about that. They uncovered some tablets, the bottom ones in Turkey, and they discovered that those have not only the name of the Hittites, but it also has the name Sargon, and the listing of the names of the kings of Babylon were all found on those parchments. So outside of the country, in another part of the world, they discover these tablets existed. Now, when we talk about digging, everybody say this, digging up the truth. That's what we're going to talk about. When we talk about digging up the truth, Israel is the center of where the Bible's activity of both testaments took place. Now I'm going to read to you Joshua chapter 6 and verse 20. So the people shouted when the priests blew the trumpets, blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet and the people shouted with a great shout that the wall of Jericho fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man before him, and they took the city. Here again, these liberal scholars have stated that really could not have happened because there's no evidence of Jericho. You can read those in commentaries from the 17 and 1800s, especially in the late 1800s. However, they began excavating the city of Jerusalem in the 1800s, and then in 1868, Charles Warren went to Jerusalem and began to excavate, and then the second excavation took place in 1907 to 1911. However, in 1930 to 36, a British man by the name of John Garstand began to excavate an area that he believed was the vicinity of Jericho. Here's what he found. He found a network of collapsed.
For more information about the ministry of Perry Stone, we invite you to visit our website at perrystone.org, where you can receive other resource materials and products, learn about partnership, upcoming events and conferences, and much, much more.